Okay, everybody, welcome back to Super Castlevania IV Any Percent 2021 tournaments that we're having here today. Welcome, glad to have you folks here. We had a great race earlier today with Zodzerk and the Russian Ruiner, but we've got a head-to-head doubleheader going on today with more winner's side action here. We got Stuff is Stuff versus KenshinTrek, and I think this one's going to be a wonderful match for us to see here. And I am joined in the booth by the knowledgeable and the wonderfully effervescent Boga Boga. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I will give my best to give a good commentary, put my 2 cents in what I know about the game.
I'm glad to have you here. You definitely have some good technical knowledge and technical prowess that I'll be leaning on here today, and I can handle the play-by-play for you beautiful people out here that are hanging out. Just as a friendly reminder here, Super Castlevania IV does have some moments of photosensitivity, so if you have any aversions to flashing lights and such, we will try our best to point those out coming up, so just please be advised of that. Specifically, if you hear us mention Coronat and Zapbat, those are two specific bosses that have a lot of white flashes, so just be mindful of that. And take care of yourselves, folks. With that being said, Boga Boga, what do you think as far as today's matchup goes with Kenshin and Stuff? Who do you think is the one that's going to win this one today? The underdog? Anything we should expect?
They are both very good runners. KenshinTrek has a PB of 33:53, so he's like 6 minutes. His PB is 6 minutes better. So I think the favor will be on his side. But we never know. It's Super Castlevania, anything can happen in this game. As we did see so far.
And just, it's kind of curious that you're the one that's commentating this match, because Stuff is here because of you, in a sense there, Boga Boga, because of very curious circumstances.
Yeah, I didn't know about the whole stream delay stuff, and I've tried to make it interesting. I waited on the stairs there and just started walking when the stream was showing me should go to Dracula, but it was like a minute too late. So the track race, that really didn't happen there. Yeah, thanks to that mishaps, he got a free win, so to speak. So the runners are ready. I just wait for them to. They're both ready, so I can go out. And the race should begin shortly.
Apologies. Testing 1, 2, 3. Not sure how I'm sounding here. I had heard that volume was a bit high.
Retrofile, you really sound great. Or I'm not sure how it is on the restream.
Okay, my apologies if my mic was a little hot there. I didn't notice any changes in my settings here, so. But anyway, nonetheless, here I'll try to carry on, and hopefully things will not be too bad on our side. My apologies, folks, for those that had to hear that. Okay, a lot of people are saying it sounds better then. Well, unfortunately, I think I may be due for a restart at some point here, but we'll try to carry on as best as possible then. Okay, looks like we have all racers currently ready to go, and we'll get the last confirmation, and we'll begin here momentarily.
I think maybe I did something wrong because I'm not used to race time GG. I think I just had to leave the bracket and it will start, but it seems not to start.
Hopefully things are fixed now.
Yeah.
My sincere apologies, folks, as we do some live troubleshooting here. It's trying our best to try to sort things out.
I tried to log back in so I can press the quit button. I did just log out and thought it will do the magic, but it doesn't. Now it doesn't let me log in, and I'm waiting on the screen. On this, sorry, folks. So my bad. I'm back in. Oh, it's going. Okay. Strange. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It happens. Okay, we are off. All right, so we are on the restream side here. Hopefully things are sorted out on my side. My apologies if the volume is not correct, but nonetheless, we are our way. Entering stage 1, stuff, KenshinTrek. I don't anticipate we're going to see too many things here overall. One thing to note for those that don't know is that KenshinTrek is playing on emulator, and he is actually playing with keyboard. He's the only one, to my knowledge, in the tournament that is a keyboard player entirely. So there are some levels of advantages and also some disadvantages by playing that way, but he's a very consistent player because of that. I don't expect we're going to see too many flashy strats from either of them. Kenshin kind of has his own routine that he follows that is very specific, but consistent across the board here. So stuff is going to have to do the best he can. Boga, anything that we should expect here in stage 1 and into stage 2 from both runners?
I don't expect too much to happen in the early stages. Both runners are very consistent, and I think they will go with their routines. I think they will do great. Besides, KenshinTrek just uses the keyboard, but he does go for some tricky maneuvers with ring glitches and stuff. He's not bad at those stuff. Did you ever play on keyboard?
I've not tried it myself. I've always been kind of a purist when it came down to using controller overall, but I can see the allure to it, where you know that all of your inputs are true, whereas sometimes, hey, you want to try to do true up, or be able to do certain things where you have those buttons dedicated for that, as opposed to on your controller, you can sometimes slightly hold right or left and get some left or right inputs that you weren't expecting, or sometimes throw a limp whip when you don't need to, and that's not really a problem for keyboard.
I think I just missed what happened to KenshinTrek. I was looking at stuff.
I also was, unfortunately, here, so stuff is going to have an early lead because of that. But likely, I mean, in stage 1, if you take enough boosts here, you're pretty much on the razor's edge anyway of health. And if you take one unexpected hit, usually that means a mistake happens. But overall, Kenshin is by no means out of this. It's still very early on, and he's a fantastic player, as you've already talked about, with a major advantage in the PB.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how we manage to catch up. Yeah, if I can't do any guesses, probably will be stage 4. Very catches up. I don't think anybody will go for really advanced strats like the zip. But you never know. Stuff is also under pressure. He knows his PP is... I didn't watch his practice. Maybe he goes for some crazy strats and is successful and can build up his lead.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing overall, is that Stuff knows what he's up against, but on the same coin, he knows that Kenshin is a consistent player overall. He rarely makes mistakes, even though that he may have taken this early death. That's not going to be much of a setback for him. That Stuff is going to have to play basically out of his mind here and hope that Kenshin makes multiple mistakes for this to actually be an even race going into it. It's definitely, as Lord Fancy puts it, a David and Goliath situation.
Yeah, now we see Stuff already started in stage 2, making his way to the graveyard. I think there is not too much to see in this stage, or what do you think?
So this one's not too bad. I mean, we have the random, the RNG of the purple hands. They only appear here in the first section. Both runners are already through that at this point. Going into the swap, a lot of this stuff is pretty set in stone. I mean, the birds can sometimes kind of fly at you and give you some difficulties moving forward, but well-placed crosses deal with them very consistently. Just being aware of that. And Medusa, which is the mid-boss of this one, which we've seen here before, crosses just shred, and there's not really much to worry about there. Consistent movement and just avoiding simple mistakes here it's pretty easy here in the early game. Business here will pick up as we get into stage 3 more than anything else here, but it's interesting to note the way that minor mistakes will add up here and possibly give Kenshin a chance to catch back up if a damage boost is not done as optimally as possible, or if stuff takes an extra hit that he didn't intend to, whatever it may be. But it looks like he's at the optimal health hill. We'll see if he gets a good pattern here with Medusa.
Yeah, I'm curious if you even see Medusa. Usually with the crosses, you just shred through the boss, even before it really gets on screen. Sometimes you get a glimpse what the boss could be.
Blink or you miss it.
Exactly.
All right, with that being said, stuff coming into the river screens here. We got 2 of them coming up here. Basically, the main goal here is to follow the current as much as possible, and it'll eventually defy physics and go the opposite direction, which Simon then has to jump across. Where Simon's at here, if you take 3 one-frame jumps, which is where you hit the button for 1 single frame, you can actually tuck yourself before those orange spikes, which are a one-hit kill, and actually maximize the amount of time you're out of the water. On this screen here, he's got plenty of health to work with. Going to take 5 boosts, 2 bone pillar boosts and 3 gargoyle boosts, and we'll be on our way into stage 3. Boga, there's a lot to talk about for stage 3. Let's talk about that now. What are your thoughts for stage 3, and what should we expect to look for here?
Yeah, stage 3 is known as a gatekeeper for many rounds, since it's very technical. You know, you have to manage your health, and if you take bad boosts in the beginning from the Madman, that can take 4 pipes of health at once if they are full size. It is not what you like to see like here. Stuff just took too much damage, and it will make his run more difficult towards the end. Since health, we just have to less health to do all the optimal strats.
Stuff taking a lot of damage there. Is going to have to take things very, very safe.
Yeah, to avoid that damage, you could actually break them down. As you saw, stuff did it, but in the wrong. Oh, yeah, he really took a lot of damage. I think I'm also behind. I tried to refresh my browser.
Yeah, so from what we're seeing here, that Stuff is having some difficulty with the Mudmen. On Kenshin's side, however, he's having a much more favorable stage 3 and is going to close that gap a lot better. Right now, Stuff's sitting with 2 pips of health coming into the waterfall climb, and this area, usually you will take a D-boost off either a fireball or the bone pillar to set things up, whereas Kenshin's sitting on a pretty big stack of health to work with. Stuff's going to take things pretty straightforward here. Going to probably set up for a nice, safe ring glitch. Having some small difficulty there getting up on that ledge. And the ring glitch, for those that don't know, is basically if you're able to limp whip down at the 12 o'clock portion of that ring, you're able to push yourself up just like Stuff did right there. And KenshinTrek also going for it, getting a nice little readjustment there and getting up there. Hot on the tail of Stuff at this point, going into 3-3 here at the top of the waterfall.
Yes, this is a very interesting glitch. Also, when you move on the right spot, if you use the ring glitch, you go behind the scene. And so enemies on the front can't hit you. So you can actually also walk through a whole section without interacting with enemies at all. That's also kind of funny to do if you know about this glitch in a casual playthrough. But here sorry.
I'm about to say, here we are, we're even now entirely. Look at this. Synced up, where Stuff could not take the eyeball boost because he didn't have the health. However, Kenshin, did. The eyeball does 3 pips of damage, and now we are back together. It's like that death didn't even matter for Kenshin at this point.
As we said earlier, KenshinTrek is a very consistent and very good player. He's also a very nice guy. He's helping out a lot on the race planning here and stuff, behind the scenes stuff.
I can vouch that both runners are just wonderful people all around. Outside of the races, hands down. Kenshin's super supportive. Stuff is just a wholesome person all around. So it's regardless how this goes, you know a good person's going to win in the process here. But yeah, Kenshin extremely knowledgeable, been around the game for a lot longer than Stuff. But here we got a great race on our hands. Okay, coming up to the boss.
Yeah, both players don't go for very risky strats. Stuff just took the safety meat to make sure he doesn't die on the Vipers. Viper is, you really want to kill him as quickly as possible with overlapping those crosses perfectly, so he doesn't is too long on the screen, because this boss lags the hell out of the game.
Yeah, we saw that Kenshin had a much cleaner kill and has taken the lead because of it. Basically, it looks like Stuff is Stuff Baby got crouch locked there during the lag and didn't have a chance to do a diagonal whip, so he didn't have a chance to layer on that damage and had to wait for a little bit longer. And you can see that the lag just happens there while facing the Orphic Vipers. Stage 4, coming into the abandoned or skeleton fortress, and also the sorcery tower later on here. We got two bosses in this one, Poexel and Coronat. Remember, folks, here that there is some photosensitivity warnings here. We got some scrolling stuff that may induce some motion sickness, so please be careful. But that being said, Poexel's coming up next. What we got with that one, Boga?
Yeah, Poexel with the crosses is actually not a big deal. You have a barrage of 3 crosses that take more or less all the health away of the boss. So nothing crazy to expect there. Both runners will have a clean boss fight, and we'll move on to the Mode 7 stuff.
Seeing some nice deboosts on both sides there to make it their Poexel, and Kenshin dispatches them very quickly. Stuff is Stuff doing a very similar strategy, moving on very nicely, and they're even with health. And it looks like Kenshin, we're doing the ring glitch there, popping himself up.
Yeah, I haven't seen him doing that. I think he learned that very recently.
I think he just did that for the swag, just showing off for the fans, but not staying up there, opting for the more consistent and conventional crouching strat. You're intended to kill these Medusa heads, but why deal with that when you just crouch in place and they'll just go right underneath you?
Yeah, true. I mean, crouching is also the optimal strat, so you don't introduce any lag. If you kill Medusas and take your whip out, you will always introduce a lag frame or 2 for every kill, and this can actually add up quite a lot over the entire game. But it's still fun to see all the swag strats in this room. Stuff is Stuff tried to go for the strat where he jumps from the ground up to the ledge and propels in the air without using the ring to get on the platform, but he missed it.
Yeah, you're trying to follow in your footsteps on that one. Some fancy footwork on your side there.
Yeah. It's tricky to set up. You also have to know you kind of supposed to hold the jump button so you lock on the ground if you hit it. If you don't do that, it's very hard to hit. And I'm not sure if those players actually know about the strats to get it more consistent.
I actually didn't know about that, so that's a kind of a fun thing to try out. I was actually messing around with that right after him. I was curious how you did that, no less. But here we are in the Mode 7 demo section where we have it, and Kenshin just slightly going ahead. I don't expect we're going to see the zip from either one of these runners here at this point, but I think we're going to opt for consistency more than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out the Mode 7 room. It's actually not the Mode 7 part that's really makes the game slow down. It's more all the sprites that are on the screen. The Mode 7 stuff would work great, but to accomplish the Mode 7 effect, the Super Nintendo has to disable almost all of the layers for the background, so you just have one, and so you see something to stand on, the game just puts sprites there. And then on top there are the enemies, and that's what actually makes the game run as slow as it does.
Very cool. I mean, you can keep me honest here, Boga, but as far as I understand it, Mode 7 gets its name from the fact that it's actually background layer 7 that the Super Nintendo uses, and a good example of it here is Coronat, who is actually part of that layer 7 of the background. Like, if you have that disabled, he's not an actual sprite specifically, or in the traditional sense, and as you can see the background actually fades away in this one. And yeah, so that and also we see kind of the same thing later on with the chandeliers, a very simplistic background that they have for it.
That's true. The Coronat is a very, very tricky setup. Actually, the SNES has for another background layer for the HUD on the top. At the middle part, there will be interrupt requests for the ground. The ground is another layer. You can switch modes on the fly while the screen is rendering. And so the ground is actually another background layer again in another mode. But this stuff is kind of hard to explain without examples. Better shut up.
I appreciate the so this is not our first match here anymore, folks. I mean, finding some more technical things to talk about that are more original for our repeat viewership, and we welcome all of you and glad to have all of you here with us here today. It's been some great stuff. And we're coming into stage 5. This one is the shortest one of the game, hands down, but however has some difficult RNG to deal with here with these harpies dropping off these flea men. Kenshin has a modest lead at this point, but again, any sort of mistake would true things up here once again. So we're taking things very consistent on stuff side, not too many D-boosts overall. Kenshin using his health wisely, it seems, not too difficult, and we'll be coming into stage 6, which is admittedly the longest stage in the game, I believe. Aside from stage B. Boga, what do we have to expect in stage 6?
The stage 6 is actually where the real Castlevania actually begins. Yeah, and there is also, it starts off with a screen that's more or less consistent, but followed by the chandeliers, and I expect maybe a 2-cycle from one of them. Who knows? I'm interested to see if stuff will go more risky on trying to get some time back on that screen.
I expect with chandeliers we're going to have things pretty comfy and safe. I think stuff will go with a 3-cycle. Kenshin may go with a 2, potentially if he's feeling it, but probably just a very even 3-cycle overall. The penalty for death or just slipping off there is pretty great because you go all the way back to the beginning of stage 6, which is a long walk. And having to potentially, if you waited on the chandeliers a little bit later in the process, it can be pretty bad. That being said, we see that both of them are going to be going into that screen. Kenshin taking things nice and easy. And it looks like he's going to opt himself for a nice 3-cycle. And I expect a very similar thing from Stuff as well.
Yeah, we'll see right here. You can tell it on the next jump from this chandelier. This is a very critical jump. Yeah, I'm opting for a 3-cycle. You could make back up 2 cycles, but most people actually don't. I almost never see that.
Yeah, at that point, if you're feeling unsure about yourself, just waiting that extra cycle and taking that time for complete consistency is definitely the right call to make, rather than burning a minute plus. Because basically, if you lose your cross at this point, you're going to be taking a visit to that secret room to try to get it back.
Yeah, on the other side, it really feels good to pull off actually a 1-cycle and take the lead. It's 7 seconds for every cycle, and if you you have 14 seconds more leadway. That's half a screen of the next part.
And we have seen 1-cycles in the tournament up to this point. It has happened, and it's the last jump off the final chandelier always makes me nervous every time I see it happen. But you just have to believe that your jump's going to make it, and you have to take it at that point. So Kenshin doing a great job overall, very consistent through everything. Stuff hot on his heels, though, however. Sitting on a full stack of health, getting himself a nice bat boost. KenshinTrek about to work his way toward the Skeleton Hellway, which is 2 screens just full of skeletons, and just have to execute as best as possible with some good jump whips and cross placements. But overall, things are looking good for both runners at this point as they make their way up to the ballroom.
Yes, both runners have actually excellent pace going through the game. It's out much issue, using their strats very optimal. It's nice to see to just browsing through the screens. We just saw one death so far from Kenshin, but we also see how he could build up his lead even further now through the last couple of screens.
Well, these runners have a tough act to follow today. I mean, we just saw the Zodzerk versus the Russian Runer, and that was our second double deathless match that we've had at this point. Obviously, Kenshin has taken an early death, unfortunately, but Stuff is still deathless at this point, and they're still in an excellent pace overall. This is still a great race going into the latter half of the game where really the difficulty truly ramps up. Speaking about difficulty, we have the RNG of the ghost dancers that are here, and sometimes they can appear with some pretty rough patterns that you have to deal with. Kenshin doing a good job laying down those crosses and turning around, doing a pretty decent thing. He's going to be popping up here into the Stage 6 boss, and I use that in big quotation marks. Fred Asker and Paula Abdul layering on those crosses. A very good kill, far right side of the screen, where that kill was at. That's fairly optimal.
Yeah. KenshinTrek also made a very clean coffin boost. They really went through there flawlessly. Though both didn't have, I shouldn't speak too early, huh? Don't have bad patterns of the ghosts. Stuff is just taking care of the ghosts just by whipping them down, it's not to blame. I think it's a solid strat to make sure you don't take unnecessary damage.
Right, you are. So we have KenshinTrek here, and also Stuff entering Stage 7, the Long Library. And I don't think we're going to see a book jump from Stuff. I would be remiss if that's the case. Maybe from Kenshin, possibly, if he wants to go with that strat. But again, I think he's going to err on the side of caution and consistency at this point. He's going to jump down here, grab that safety meat since he took a pretty good chunk of damage on the first screen. And let's see if he gets himself the low axe or the high axe. If he gets a low axe, he can take a nice boost here. Well, the Knights don't want to play today, so he gets the high axe and has to wait. On Stuff side. Go ahead, Bugga.
I'm curious too. I think KenshinTrek is seriously able to do a book jump, so I'm also interested to see if he actually goes for it. But he's overall more going for consistency.
Yeah, which we can see he just went for at this point here. He opted not to go for the book jump. And again, I can kind of understand that. If your nerves are running high and you're not feeling good about it, you have to go for it. Stuff getting the low axe, but opting not to take the boost, however. You have to basically jump off those stairs and kind of cut that corner as close as possible, jump out to the edge, and Simon will catch that axe with his face and get boosted onto the first book. You can save yourself a small bit of time.
Yeah, Stuff is really safe on his feet. And Kenshin just building up his lead more on this stage. But this is nothing over. Next stage we have a very spiky encounter, so to speak. So what do you have to say about the next stage?
So here's the thing, though, that you have to think at this point. I mean, that Stuff is just running his race at this point, but he knows who he's up against, and I think that the way that he's playing is playing as safe as possible and just hoping that Kenshin would make a mistake and that he can possibly capitalize it, and with consistent play, he can just maintain that lead. But again, Kenshin is known for his consistency overall, being the player that he is, and having a lot of experience, knowing a lot about the game. That I don't think that's going to happen. I would be very remiss if that was the case. So I think Stuff may have to start taking some risks to close that gap as much as possible. We've been seeing him sitting on a pretty full stack of health most of the time. He did take the statue boost here, and probably will take the boost here through this final hallway. But he's really going to have to turn this on if he wants to try to catch up to Kenshin.
Yeah, then we see the next Grakul fight. I think Grakul is a boss that's not too dangerous if you have enough health, but if you're getting low here in this section when something goes wrong, it can get very, very hairy. Because his movement is kinda unpredictable, and in his first phase he just throws the axe, but he can also slam it to the ground, where you have to interact and jump over the fire. But yeah, his Stuff just taking care of the boss very quick. So we didn't see much of the patterns. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very quick work from both winners on this one. I always found it kind of interesting that as far as Grakul goes, is that if he throws his axe at you, it does less damage than the fire that his axe actually causes here, and it is far more deadly. It's kind of surprising to see that being the case. Stage 8 or Stage 8 we're moving into, every spike that you kind of see here is basically instant death for the most part, and can be kind of dangerous. This one can be a very, very rough stage if things kind of get off script and you're not really sure what to expect. I do not expect either of these runners to bet on Vegas as much as you, I, and the viewership would love to see it at this point. Clearly, we've seen that they're opting for consistency, overtaking risks at this point, and just hoping that the other runner will make a mistake.
I think so too. I also would like to point out that Stage 8 really, it's Stage 8, and you really can turn around rounds very easily. It's just like 1 second of not being looking out or doing a little slip up onto landing into spikes, and take a minute. And this minute will turn around the race.
Yeah, right now with how the pace is right now, it is still anybody's race going into these final 4 stages that we have. KenshinTrek taking things nice and easy on Vegas, not betting, letting them roll out the red carpet for him, and he gets himself a nice pattern coming into the monster and the creature of Frankenstein.
Yeah, Frankenstein is a very easy boss. You just kind of stand in front of him and throw your crosses and whip up. If you're staying close enough to him, you can whip up and still do damage to the boss.
Nice Triforce there from Kenshin, by the way. Very nice overall. One thing that I think is kind of interesting to note that I noticed is For those that haven't had a chance to play it, in the CV4 prototype was actually leaked out there at some point. That for whatever reason, it seems that they adjusted the hitboxes of the creature between the prototype and the actual game itself, because in the actual game itself, you can just stand underneath the creature's armpit and whip up, and it'll connect, but during the prototype, it won't for whatever reason. So I wonder if they opted to go that route to make it a little bit easier. But that being said, stuff about to take care of it in short order. Triple shot cross in his pocket to work with. And on Kenshin's side here, we're coming into the beautiful and quite difficult and technical treasury stage. What do we got here, Boga?
Yeah, stage 9 is one of my favorite stages. Also, the music, it really gets you pumped up for a tight gameplay. What you really get in this is one of my favorite stages, personally. Also, interesting fact that you have very funny ghosts popping up from the ground, going up, and if you press past, you still keep going.
I kind of wonder why they opted to go for it. Like, why is it like a haunted treasury? And I'm not really sure why they went with that. And it's only in that first section, because now we see that the ghosts are gone. But that being said, I always liked, when I originally played the game as a kid, like going from getting through the hell that was stage 8 and then getting to stage 9. It was like kind of the gateway to the end of the game, and going from the darkness of the dungeon into this bright, glistening, golden screen. It was just an amazing feeling at the time.
Yeah, true. I did feel the same way. I mean, both runners are actually still on the same stage, so it's still everybody's race. For example, if I shouldn't curse anyone, but if something goes wrong, one player could catch up.
Yep, that's all. That's basically it. That stuff is still within one mistake from Kenshin at this point to pull things together, and I have to commend stuff. Putting on a deathless performance up to this point and maintaining the pace with someone of Kenshin's caliber at this point. Speaking of Kenshin, here is making the final ascent, getting up to Zapvat. Again, photosensitivity warning for you fine folks that are watching here. It's 22 hits for the bat to be broken up, and trying to make sure that things are as low as possible. This is going to be a potential place for some separation between the runners. Maybe Stuff can gain some tie back, or Kenshin potentially can pull further ahead with a well done or well executed boss fight.
It looked like Kenshin just building up his lead on Stuff still going for very safe measures. He opted to kill the Bone Dragon. Usually you see players just walking through that section, but I think he wasted some frames and couldn't go for that boost, I think. That's what happened.
Yeah, he did a really good job here on Kenshin's side, by the way, and I think this is another place I can highlight specifically where keyboard is definitely a boon, because you have that true up input to actually do those vertical whips on the bat more consistently. Sometimes we're making those jumps to the side to kind of follow the bat and follow it up by a vertical whip that can sometimes get lost in the inputs, and you'll do a diagonal whip inadvertently and you'll miss a hit on the bat. That being said, Kenshin coming into stage A, the penultimate stage, and the mandatory clock tower, as you fine folks have heard, and this is what begins the throwback soundtrack of CV4 at this point, with a beautiful rendition of Bloody Tears from Castlevania II Simon's Quest. Pretty short stage overall, but very technical and very dangerous. I know that Kenshin is not a fan of this stage as far as what it can do, and will always, if you see him in your chat while you're playing this, will always be like, stage A, please be kind, and I'm sure he's thinking that right now as well.
Yeah, true. Stage A is one of the most technical stages, in my opinion. You have, screens going up, and you have to know the game very well, actually. When you go up and when you spawn enemies, to make the right patterns appear, especially for the next section where Kenshin goes through with the rings, so you can just boost off the right enemies to have the optimal patterns. And then you can also add additional extra ring snaps that are very tricky to learn and very easy to follow.
Right, you are. And actually, I'm very surprised that Kenshin went with a somewhat risky strat and actually did the ring-to-ring, going across there, taking the risk to save a little bit of time there in the process. And it looks like he's not going to be getting the express lane up past this first section of the climb, where Stuff is entering the stage A as well. Yeah,
I really love to see the fast strats KenshinTrek put off with Risen. When you go through the room in one swoop, it is amazing to see.
Oh, nice floor clip there, coming up and actually taking care of that Axe Knight, and getting himself a nice position. He had an excellent stage A coming into this point. Hopefully Mummy will be very kind here. We saw that he gave Zodzerk some great patterns. We saw one cycle today. Let's see if we can see another one.
Yeah, Mummy is another boss that's very RNG heavy. Kenshin just talk about some bad boosts, but it will not stop him. Here we will see he has a middle spawn, no left side, so it will not be a one cycle on this point, especially.
No, unfortunately, he does a pretty good job of layering on the crosses though and locking himself in, getting also the worst pattern now at the process. Ooh, getting bandages from the middle. That can be very dangerous, and it's good on him that he actually had the knowledge to actually position himself in such a way, because sometimes those bandages from that pattern can sneak behind you and actually kick you down in the pit, and we've seen it actually bite a couple of runners here in this tournament, no less.
Yeah, very true. The bandages just curve over you and come down, and if you stand on the left side ledge, you can just get boosted into the pit and take a very costly death, since recovery will be costly, and also you have to fight the Mummy with just normal whip, what takes a considerable amount of time.
Yes, Akmadon II is the name of the Mummy, the same one that you'll see within Soten as well, and he takes an awful lot of punishment for whatever reason with just the whip, so the crosses are definitely your best friend to kind of layer on that damage as much as possible. With each one of those crosses doing a fully upgraded, fully extended whip's worth of damage with each tick, you can see how much punishment he takes in the process here. Just try to imagine doing that with just a whip. That being said, stage B for KenshinTrek here, trying to make his victory run up to Drak, and we're coming into the boss rush here. 5 bosses. First begin with Stairs boss, and we're going to be going to Slogger, Gaibon, Death, and then Big Drak himself.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in stage B. I mean, the stairs can be very punishing if you don't know what you're doing. Stair boss did kill very good paces so far.
Stuff getting a favorable spawn here and does not have enough go. Ooh, he does a nice job there. Wow, look at that. He actually ran out of crosses right at the end there and actually was able to whip him down for the final hit within time, pulling himself a nice one cycle.
What a boss kill, indeed. That's amazing to see. Somebody should clip that. It's really genius final strike there.
Yeah, that putting the exclamation mark on that statement and doing a fine job there. Stuff again, still keeping pace very well with KenshinTrek. Kenshin riding those platforms up as high as possible. It is faster than riding or walking up the steps, but a little risky if you pull yourself up to those spikes, which are instant death.
Yeah, true. Stage B, it can get very bad very quick. To do any of the movement wrong, but KenshinTrek just pulling ahead on this one and go to the final boss fights. Stuff is on the back bridge and doing his best to collect as many hearts, so he'll be prepared for the boss fights too. But on this point, it's hard to. It's almost as the game is decided until we see something unexpected.
So I can say that at this point, KenshinTrek definitely feeling a lot better and more confident overall at this point with getting the Stairs boss behind him. He had a small slip up in the beginning in stage 1, and I think maybe just some tournament nerves in general. But I think that he's really settled in and really living up to that persona of consistency, and he's played very well. I haven't seen any major noticeable errors on his part. I mean, he's played very well. Stuff doing a great job here as well, coming into stage B on a pretty good time overall. And we can see that Kenshin making quick work of Death's servants, Slogger and Gaibon, which is why they're always seen together. Even in Soten, you see them around when Death is nearby. It's kind of nice to see that how well he's doing with this. He's got plenty of crosses to work with, and stuff is almost up to Slogger as well.
Yeah, it's nice to see Stuff has some advanced strat where he does whip and cross at the same time. It's kind of hard to get, but he goes for the strat successfully multiple times.
So whip crosses, you keep me honest here, I believe it's alternate or adjacent frames. So you hit the whip button and then the cross or sub-weapon button on alternate frames, and that's when they'll come out together like that.
Yeah, Slogger actually really can be a run killer. Sometimes I forget since I know some safe strats around him, but especially if you go for top strat, if things go out of hand and he does some dashes, things go out of hand very quick.
Unfortunately, Stuff trying to layer on that whip with the crosses. That the whip can actually eat the crosses in that process, actually lowering the damage here in the process. So just sticking with just the crosses, if you're going to go with that strat, is probably the best bet on phase one. And
true.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, true. I mean, a lot of players think they can stack cross and whip, but it's actually not true. You really should just go with the crosses. And there is one incident when he goes to the second phase. You want to have the 3 crosses overlaid, hit him once with the whip, but he will move backwards and just get another hit from the crosses again. But beside of that, you don't want to overstack whip with crosses.
Thank you for confirming that, Boga. I would have felt really bad if I was giving wrong information at that point. But here in the meantime, KenshinTrek looking to put this one away, moving into the final phase of Drak, having an excellent death kill and an overall very fantastic run. But that being said, not to discount Stuff, he's still on a deathless run at this point, and a hell of a pace too, coming into death here sub 35. He's looking real good.
Yeah, they really had a great show. Both players played, especially Stuff played on his max. I mean, he has a PB of 39, is on PB paced, and I mean, or maybe I'm not up to his recent PBs, I'm not sure.
Well, overall, he's definitely been putting in some work and some good practice on this one. And I mean, he's a fairly new player to CD4, but he's advanced very, very quickly. I mean, he's a very talented runner overall, played Ninja Gaiden. And that's all she wrote, folks. KenshinTrek is your winner, and we're moving on in the winners brackets. Congratulations and GG to him, whereas Stuff will be moving down into the lower brackets, so down but not out. And we'll be facing the winner of whomever I'll be facing, of the winner of Tinue and Decapent. So we'll see what that match holds for us eventually in the future.
Yeah, Stuff still opting to go for. I think he did see Kenshin finish and he opting to get some extra hearts to have an easier drag fight. Yeah, and congrats KenshinTrek for his well-deserved win for this tournament.
Agreed. I mean, a low 35 with a death. I mean, that's extremely well executed and good job on Kenshin's side. Stuff trying to put this one away and finish up. And then we'll hopefully get both of the runners in here to say some words about this race overall. But if Stuff can put this away, this will be a deathless run for him in the tourney, which you know that he's got to feel good about, even though that he knew the monumental task that was ahead of him trying to take down KenshinTrek.
Yeah, and he did a great job with this run. But towards the end, yeah, he took things safe and steady. But if I'm not mistaken, he's on PB pace.
It's looking pretty good at this point. I'm not sure exactly, but if you can put Drak away pretty quickly, this very well could be a nice PB for him.
Yeah, I just did look up on the leaderboard. He has a 39.02, so he would PB by 2 minutes.
I think he may have an unsubmitted one, but I'm not entirely sure. But that being the case, I mean, this definitely is way ahead of 39. Look at that, putting it away very nicely. This will be a low to mid 37.
Yeah, maybe he had some recent PB I didn't know about, but I guess this is a very well improved PB. Congrats on Stuff.
Congrats
for it.
We'll ask him when he comes in here to confirm that this is a PB, but showing on his timer here is a 37:17. What a fantastic run. Deathless from Stuff. A small one from Kenshin there. Stuff will be moving down again, down but not out into the lower bracket. KenshinTrek will be moving on, and consistent play from both. This is very well done, well executed for both of them. We saw that they didn't go for any major flashy strats. I mean, this is all consistency that we had seen here.
Yeah, but that very good consistency when KenshinTrek did show his muscles in that regard. What we can do with just good consistent strats and actually pulling through the races with good times in every single one.
Yeah, it was only a small flub on stage one that we can ask them about here, but that's a 2-minute lead from KenshinTrek, and very well executed from both. Hello, welcome into the booth here to Kenshin and Stuff. Kenshin. GG.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Hello, thank you very much. Thanks for the kind words. Yeah, that was quite funny. My God, that death in stage one was terrible. Wow. I died in stage 1 and I panicked for a moment, but actually I guess that in stage 3 I was able to compose myself and keep going.
Oh, you did great. So Kenshin, I gotta say, I could tell that was based on nerves, but right after that, I mean, you recovered extremely well, played consistently the whole way out there. I mean, you got a low 35 with a death, no less. I mean, that's a fantastic time. One of the best ones we've seen in the tourney, especially with a death.
Yeah, thank you very much, but not so much. After the death in stage 1, I kind of panicked and I was disheartened. I am looking for the word. What is it? I did not react quite well, and my stage 2 was kind of floppy. As I progressed in stage 3, I started to regain confidence, and then I actually came back and did all the things that I had to do, and I was quite consistent. Yep.
Well, congratulations overall. Overall, I mean, I know it had a shaky start, but you got to feel good though about a 35.05 at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was a really nice time considering the death. That death costed me 35 seconds, and I was carrying those 35 seconds throughout the game. But actually, I started to watch that I gained some, I saved some seconds in stage, and that was really nice.
Well done. With that win, that secures you a spot in the winner's side semifinals. This was quarterfinal action here, the top 8, as it were. Stuff is stuff. However, let's talk to you, my friend. Welcome in.
Yo.
Was that a PB? Is that legit? Did that happen?
So it was. I matched my PB. I have a PB that's unsubmitted.
That's what I thought.
I have a 37-17 that's unsubmitted. I told myself I wouldn't submit again until I was sub 37. So yeah, I was like, I might going into stage B. I was back in the green because I was in the red the whole run. I just was making a bunch of silly mistakes left and right, and then after A, I put myself back in the green, and I was like, all right, so you're just saying there's a chance, but I missed. I had some bad drag phases that really cost me getting any PB there, but overall, I'm happy with the run. It was consistent, and matching your PBs, I'd say that's pretty solid in a race.
I would say so, especially on the stage in front of other people. I mean, like during the day or during your normal grind, you can just reset and it's no big deal. But putting it on during the race when it actually counted, you got to feel good about a deathless run, nonetheless.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm just proud to be running against Kenshin. Kenshin's amazing, and he's helped me a lot, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you did really well. If that is a deathless run and really close to PB, then that is something that you must be proud about.
100%.
You love to see it. Great camaraderie, great sportsmanship from both. So Kenshin, just to kind of ask you, I'll actually ask both of you, but I'll start with you, Kenshin. What was your strategy going into this one? Basically, I know that I've talked a lot about your consistency. It seems like you didn't go for like really any risky strats overall. No book jump, no betting on Vegas. Just was your thought just to go as consistent, as safe as possible?
Yeah, as always, I went for safe strats, and I was thinking about doing a 3-cycle chandelier. I was talking about not betting on Vegas, but I was thinking something at the beginning of the run. I was saying, if I do things correctly and I think that I am confident enough, I was saying I may go for the book jump, and if everything goes correct, I may go for risky strats in stage A, for example, the Medusa boost to get the dragon bone dragon quick pass through the rings. That is what I was saying at the beginning. But as soon as I died in stage A and I lost my confidence, I said to myself, forget it. I'll just go straight to the book. I won't do anything risky anymore. Yeah. So I said, just forget it and just keep to the plan, stick to the plan, and don't do anything risky.
Yeah, and it's very well played off for you, KenshinTrek. Congrats to your win. And stuff, congrats to you too. It was an amazing match, very close. KenshinTrek could just pull ahead a little bit. There was no back and forward, but very consistent run and very fun to watch.
Yeah, and I named the run Boga Beer because if it wasn't for a Boga Beer, I wouldn't be here.
You're welcome.
So it's an honor to have Boga and Retrofile call this run. Retrophile's the reason I started playing this game in the first place. He tricked me, and now I can't get away.
Thank you, Steph. Much appreciate that. Just to ask you that question, did you have any specific strats coming into this? Were you thinking, hey, I'm not going to go bet on Vegas. I'm not going to do the book jump. Like, were you just going for
Yeah, I've never tried the book jump. I've never bet on Vegas. I legit only use very consistent strats. I'm still so new, and like the lack of save state practice makes trying hard things really tough. So maybe I'll end up getting a flash cart and I can practice things a little more consistently.
Oh, good to know. Looking at the bracket, folks, here, it looks like KenshinTrek will be facing the winner of the last Belmont or Dat One Nice Guy on the winner's side. KenshinTrek, what do you think about those two competitors possibly being your next adversary?
Either of them are great runners, and yep, if either of them could easily beat me, so in the next match I will be the underdog. Either way, I will keep training to try to do the best, and yeah, that is gonna be a race for me. Wow.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one overall. And stuff is stuff. Now that you're down in the lower bracket here, you will be facing the winner of myself versus either Tinue or Decapent at this point. So it could be you and me, my friend. It could happen here in the lower bracket.
I can't wait. Yeah. I wish everybody the best. Whoever I end up facing, it's going to be fun. This is fantastic.
Right, you are. Boga, any parting remarks or any questions here for our runners here before we close up shop?
Well, I don't have any further questions that come to my mind. I wish both runners good luck on the next races and keep on bringing the show. Man, it was great.
Agreed. Thank you guys very much. For those that
Thanks
are
to
curious
you. Yeah.
Thank you, Kenshin. For those that are curious about the matches that we have coming up, I saw some questions in chat. The next race that we have planned here on Castlevania 3 Run, make sure you drop a follow to make sure you catch all the action here on the tournament that we have. Coming up, the next one is on Tuesday, March 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It's actually the aforementioned Tinue versus Decapent match. Then we have on Wednesday, March 31st at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have Just Defend versus Vrush. That'll be a really good one. Very, very high level play from both of those there. And that's winner's side, so someone's going to get bopped down to losers. And then following that, we then have Friday, April 2nd. I'm sorry. Actually, this will probably be Thursday. Actually, Thursday evening, since that was scheduled pretty late. Looks like this one will be, if my math is correct, looks like 9? Yeah, it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, April 1st. That is Drunken Draconian versus Eagle Eye Jones. So keep it here, folks. But that being said, I'm Retrophile TV. Thank you guys very much for coming out and hanging out here today. And Boga, thank you so much for joining me in the commentary booth.
Thank to you too. Well, it was a pleasure to commentate along you. I didn't have to say that much at all. But thank you for everything.
Sounds good. My apologies if I was a little too verbose, and for those that hung through here, my apologies for the initial shakiness, possibly with the audio and some things that we had going on. But appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you for the viewers, the runners, and the staff behind the scenes here. Shout outs to Socrates for being the restreamer this evening. And you fine folks, stick around here. We're gonna go raid somebody else, and have yourselves a good rest of your evening. We'll see you around here soon.
Goodbye. See you next time.